And there were so many times that I thought, we're just never gonna figure this out properly. We're just not really gonna ever get it. Hello you, welcome back. I am a new mom and I wanted to share my breastfeeding journey because I really think that so much of breastfeeding is not shared openly and honestly. And my experience was very rollercoastery and interesting, probably like a lot of people's experience. So I'm hoping that by watching this, you feel less alone if you're going through a tricky journey. And hopefully it also gives you a little bit of insight into the things that I experienced, but also some hope if you are really struggling that things can get better. Let's rewind and let me go back to telling you about my baby boy. I had a water birth with my baby. I used loads of affirmations to help me, my breathing techniques, meditation, all the kind of work that I've been doing for a long time in preparation. If you want to learn a bit more about the affirmations I used, I will link up the exact ones that I use here because I've done another video on those. But essentially, I had a really positive, empowering birth experience. I did train for my birth. I honestly learned so much about the physiological process of what birth is, what's happening in my body, so that I could understand every stage that I would be going through. But I also looked into all the different things that could crop up. I learned all the wording that might be used from my midwives to make sure that I was not like, wait, panic, what's that word? I have no idea what it means. So I was well versed in actually what it means, what's the likelihood of me having that happen. I basically went like real ham on the education, and I'm so glad I did, because I really think that as much as anything could have happened in the moment, I think I had the power of knowing that I am going with the flow. I'm not going to get myself into a panic state, and obviously that high level of adrenaline slows down the oxytocin. You want oxytocin to kind of progress and move forward. I also am, and I don't take for granted, a healthy individual. I had a healthy and happy pregnancy, and obviously that then contributed as well to the way my labour and my birth played out. But the reason why I say that is because I know that many people experience breastfeeding issues off the back of the type of birth they experienced. And I really thought that that was one of the main reasons that I may experience breastfeeding issues. And so when I had the birth that felt really perfect and positive and great and smooth to me, I was then surprised, if I'm honest, at the issues that I ran into when I was breastfeeding. On the day he was born, it was identified that he had a tongue tie. And so essentially what tongue tie is the way that it was described, which was really a way that made a lot of sense to me, is imagine a small rubber band, and there's like a small rubber band at the back pulling the tongue back. So when your baby is trying to latch on and when they are trying to feed and use that suction motion, they're almost kind of being pulled, their tongue is pulling back. And so it's frustrating for them and it's challenging for them, but also it can be excruciatingly painful for the person breastfeeding. That was me. So what I noticed is on the first day, I did notice his tongue was like quite far back. By the way, also 1 in 10 babies have tongue tie, and it is more common in boys. And I was aware of tongue tie because I was deciding before I had the baby as to whether I wanted to give him the vitamin K oral drops or the vitamin K injection. And when you're looking at doing that and which one you want to go for, or whether you even want to administer it, you don't have to administer it. But if you're thinking of that, go and do loads of research and do your own studies on it. But essentially one of the things to think about is if they have tongue tie, because if they have tongue tie and they need to have a little, I wouldn't even call it an operation, but if they need the tongue tie to be corrected, then vitamin K must have been administered prior. So I knew all about that because, like I said, I really did go ham on it. But you don't know if your baby's gonna have tongue tie or not. We don't have it in the family. Yeah, it's really common, but I just didn't know whether that would happen or not. But I could see his tongue was a little like short. It looked quite pulled back. And then it was confirmed that he did have tongue tie. And then what was really good is that the infant specialist team didn't want us to just suddenly go and get it sorted and get it kind of corrected, because a lot of the time actually it's corrected and the procedure happens more than it needs to happen. So a lot of the time actually babies grow into it or they grow out of it, and if there are no problems then it doesn't necessarily need to be fixed. I did my own research on tongue tie, and as a breathwork coach, when you have tongue tie, you're more likely to have issues like sleep apnea. It's going to affect your breathing. It can affect your speech. And so for me, I really wanted to get it sorted anyway, but we absolutely needed to get it sorted. And that's because we tried everything to help get his latch to be better so that I wasn't experiencing any pain. And what was really frustrating for me is that he had a really great latch, confirmed by specialists. He was doing everything he could do perfectly. But for me, it was so painful. And the way I describe it is like it was like a wrench just going on my nipple. And it's tough because you obviously want to be able to feed your baby, but then also you are in so much pain. So if you are there and it is really painful, things that absolutely saved me, number one is nipple shields. Now again, I'd done my research in my pregnancy about nipple shields and I'd heard quite negative stuff. Like a lot of people had said, obviously a nipple shield is something that goes on your nipple. And so because of that, it inhibits the connection between the baby's saliva going directly on your nipple, and that's a communication system. So say for example, if your baby needs more of something, then your body will understand that from the saliva on the nipple, and then you will create tailor-made breast milk for your baby that will give it all the nutrients that it needs. Also, if it is hot in the day, this is a really cool fact, your body will produce more water, like a waterier is not a word, more watery milk to give to your baby so that they are more hydrated. Like the breast milk is incredible. Nipple shields, absolutely get them. We use them for a lot in those early stages, basically every day, to try and help him still get breast milk, but not with me being in excruciating pain. And actually the nipple shields did make a really big difference. The other thing is that I had an idea in my head that I would exclusively breastfeed. And I think I was very naive to actually what that looked like. And obviously I didn't know that we would have a tongue tie situation that would cause so much pain. So we did not decide to exclusively breastfeed. And we decided to pivot. And I think so much of motherhood and parenthood and pregnancy even is pivoting, looking at what situation you're in, adapting, changing. The first couple of nights with the baby is terrifying. You just want to keep them alive. And we were so worried about, is he getting enough milk? Is he having enough wet and poopy nappies? And there was one or two kind of constipated nappies, and I was like, we need to get formula. And we went with Kendamil, recommended. I've done my research on them. They look great, been amazing, and such a great backup to have, especially while it was so challenging in those early days. While we were kind of figuring out different positions, is it the latch? What could it be to get it to be better? We got to the point where we were like, okay, this is just getting painful. It's painful, and then it's getting more and more and more painful. And so we need to get it sorted. So I feel like we were really lucky because day one, it was spotted that he had tongue tie. And even though it felt like months, it was on day 9 that we decided to get it lasered. And I am going to do another video about tongue tie and getting it lasered versus getting it cut, because getting it cut is much more common. Getting it lasered is a lot more rare. The NHS, if you're in the UK, don't offer lasering. We did decide to go private. That obviously is a position that we were in, that we wanted to go down that route. And by day 9, we went to the clinic and we had it lasered. Now, when we were getting it lasered, we also found out from the expert in that field that he also had lip tie, which was making it also more challenging. So we not only got his tongue tie lasered, but we also got his lip tie lasered. And what was incredible, as painful as that was, and I can go into that, I mean, it was painful for me to watch just because you see your baby, like, what the hell is going on? And they're 9 days old. And obviously it's much, much, much less traumatic than a cut with blood pouring out. It's a really short procedure. They don't need to be under the anesthetic or anything like that. It still is really sad seeing your baby cry. It just is. So that was tough. But 5 minutes later, he's latched on perfectly. I'm not in any pain, and we're breastfeeding in the clinic, in the reception afterwards, which was incredible. So that did work instantly. And I thought, we got it, we nailed it. This is what it's supposed to be like, sorted.
A few moments later.
Until the rest of that day and the next maybe 4 or 5 days, which again felt like so long, he's healing. He's got a little wound in his mouth and it's healing. And he was much, much more upset. He was much fussier. He's a very chill baby, but he was really upset. And so he was really struggling to latch on, because I think it was, I mean, you don't know, but I feel like in mother's instinct that it was irritating him and it was sore. And so I then started really taking it on emotionally, and I was really like, I can do it now, but now he's in pain. It was kind of like the first part is that he was latching on perfectly, but I was in pain, and then I wasn't in pain, but he was, so I honestly thought we are never going to get off nipple shields. We're just going to have to use nipple shields for our whole breastfeeding journey and continue to feed him the Kender milk, so the formula, and do that combi feeding, because he's just never going to be okay directly on the boob. And I think if anyone feels like that, it's so difficult, because emotionally it really pulls on your heartstrings, and you feel very like, I'm not giving my baby what my baby needs, and I'm the mother. And I think I'm not the kind of person to go all kind of woe is me. But it is challenging in postpartum, and there's so many other things. You know, the first 7 days we really struggled with sleep until we started co-sleeping. And the 9th day was tricky because we had the laser done, and then it worked, and I knew it worked, but then it was really challenging when we were at home. Then we actually went to a children's centre, which in the UK, find your local children's centre. I don't know how many there are in different areas, but there were lots near us in London, and they were incredible. And we saw a breastfeeding specialist drop in that you just go to for free. And they helped with other positions in terms of holding him and how to make him feel comfortable. And that day we had success as well with him directly latching on, which was great. And then I would say maybe it took about a week, so maybe 6 or 7 days, 5 to 7 days after having the laser, that we just got it. And I think it was just a learning. It's a thing that you do together to figure out, it's a new thing for both of you, even though it's this instinctual thing and you're a mother and it's natural and it's nature. Yes, but it is also challenging and tricky. So if you're feeling that, trust me, I've been there. One thing I wanted to do was essentially wean him off the nipple shield. So in those 5 to 7 days when I was trying to do that, I would get him on with a nipple shield first, because I knew then he would be okay. And then when he felt satisfied, or I felt like he was satisfied with how much food he had, but he still wanted a bit more, if he came off, I would then take the nipple shield off and then quickly get him back on directly to the nipple. By that point, he wasn't wailing because he was so hungry, because I think also we were missing some of his hunger cues. So he wasn't wailing because he was so hungry, and he was able to latch on. So that's how I was doing the weaning off process. Let me know if you want more information on that, and I can create another video specifically on how to wean your child off nipple shields if that's something that you are choosing to do. And because I also found them annoying to use. They were great, but then also they would slide off, and then he would get even more upset, and then I would get frustrated. And there was one time in the middle of the night I was like, I hate breastfeeding. There, I've said it. And now I really don't. I actually enjoy it, but there's definitely points where I just felt like, this is never going to work. It's going to always be challenging. It's going to always be painful. It's going to always be tricky. And I kind of can't believe that we did manage to A, wean him off the nipple shields, but B, get to a point where now he latches on incredibly easily. And for reference, I am 5 weeks postpartum. So this is all very new. I wanted to share this story kind of in the moment while I was experiencing it. So things that really helped me that I really want to share, other than the nipple shields, like I mentioned, nipple shields are great. I absolutely think there is a place for them, especially if there's something like a tongue tie or a lip tie. They are fantastic for ensuring that your baby's still getting breast milk if you are choosing to breastfeed in a way that isn't irritating and paining you. So they were absolutely a game changer. I'd also really recommend getting the Medela ones, because they came in this little case, which is really useful to take to bed with you. You can fit in quite a few there. Pump is essential, definitely a double pump. I now use the Mum Cozy double pump, but I at first was trying a hand pump, and I was like, this is gonna take forever. So expressing milk so that you can feed in a bottle, if that again is what you choose to do, get a double pump, get a hands-free, you charge it, and then it's on your boobs, it's direct under a bra, and it's just perfect. Nursing bras, which I didn't really think I needed nursing bras. And then I was like, I need nursing bras immediately. Got a pack of 3 in medium, instant regret because they were very tight. And then I got 2 from Mum Cozy in large. They're beautiful, they're really soft, and they fit me way better. So large or extra large I would go for, even if you are quite petite. Boobs are not. Bottles and teats and a sterilizer. So I love the Philips Avent sterilizer because it fits 6 bottles in, as well as the teats and the lids. And then bottles, we had a mixture. The Lancino I really like, that feels really good, and I feel like the teat is most shaped like a boob or like a nipple. The Philips Avent sterilizer, actually the one that we got, came with 2 bottles, so they were also great. You need muslins literally everywhere, because if your baby's gonna spit up, you just need a muslin in every single room. And I definitely, even now, I feel like we need double the amount of muslins, because obviously you've got to wash them after every use. When there's milk and saliva, bacteria forms, also it just stinks, so you just need to wash them really frequently. So muslins are go-to. And then lastly, this is the life-changing one, is lanolin. So lanolin by Lansano always makes me think like sheep's wool from Anchorman. Lanolin is amazing for sore nipples, I just had sore nipples. I didn't have cracked nipples, I didn't have bleeding nipples. I was lucky, but just the soreness, and I still use that. And you don't have to wipe it off or wash it off before you breastfeed, which I think is genius. So it just means that you're not having to do an extra thing. Like if you are sore, you can put it on and then your baby can go straight on and feed from you. So lanolin really, really helps just soothe everything. And then if you are someone that leaks, something like a milk collection shell. So I use the milk collection shells by Medela as well, but also I had the Haka, like the one that you just put it on and it just collects any letdown, and then you can store that so that's not being wasted. If you're on the go, a reusable, I did have some disposables, but definitely the reusables are great. Breast pad that just sits in your bra and soaks up any excess milk. I don't leak loads, but it's nice just to have them on hand, especially if I'm going out. I think with motherhood or parenthood or pregnancy, there's a lot of things that you kind of don't know if you need or not. Like I really didn't think I needed a nursing bra. I was like, I don't know why I would need a nursing bra. And now I'm like, oh, you need a nursing bra. We didn't have any bottle. We had 2 bottles and 2 teats. We didn't have any formula. Like there's loads of things that you just don't know, and you don't know the situation. And honestly, it's such a game changer having these services that we have where you can click and something will come to your house the next day, because otherwise we probably would have had to buy everything in advance just to have it like as backup, but we didn't. Luckily, we had a lot of stuff and we were really, really prepared. But with certain things around breastfeeding, again, I'm naive. I was so naive to actually the challenges that you can experience when you're breastfeeding. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because I think this is the kind of content that I wanted to see when I was going through it, to just feel like, oh my God, I resonate with you. Like it is challenging, it is tricky for many, many people. Tongue tie and lip tie can be so, so challenging, and it's so, so incredibly common in boys, especially 1 in 10 babies. And actually it's interesting because when I started telling my friends about this, the ones that had boys, I would say 90% of them, their boy had a lip tie or a tongue tie or both. And obviously they didn't tell me at the time because I didn't have children. So when they were asking like, how's feeding going? Because they knew that that's something that might be challenging, I then shared that and they were like, oh yeah, we had that too. So actually it's so common. So speak to your friends if you're going through this. Message me, pop your questions in the comments if you have any. I'm no tongue tie or lip tie expert, but I'm a new mum and I've definitely experienced what it feels like emotionally and how it can be. 5 weeks in, we're both doing great. He's feeding really, really well. And I'm just so glad that we got it identified as quickly as we did, because from what I've heard, it can get missed. And also a lot of people just put up with, oh, isn't it like normal to be a bit painful? Isn't it normal to be a little bit sore? And while I think from what I know, it is, definitely not to be in that level of pain that's not normal. So if you are like, oh my God, maybe that's why it's so painful for me, like go and seek the help that is there, like lactation specialists, lactation consultants. If you're in the UK, breastfeeding specialists, drop-in clinics at children's centres. If you can speak to someone in the NHS, get the most out of the services that are free, because I know it's not cheap to get a lactation consultant. We never did. We're so lucky. We had amazing postpartum care specifically around the breastfeeding journey from the NHS and then from local places like the Children's Centre, to give us that confidence in holding, in latch, in identifying the tongue tie, and then in being able to get it sorted. So the only place that we did pay was to go private to get it lasered, and that is because we did want to get it lasered. And also because it was so challenging, we didn't want to wait weeks and weeks, which it may have been, to wait on the NHS to then have a procedure, which was the cutting of the tongue tie, which we didn't want to have anyway. So that is my breastfeeding journey to date. Hot off the press, 5 weeks in. If you have any questions, let me know. If this was helpful, then give it a like, make sure you subscribe. It makes a really big difference, and I will keep creating videos in this section of pregnancy, postpartum, and baby motherhood life. If you enjoyed this video, you should check out this one next, which is all about my organization, all the different things I did, storage ideas, hacks, things that you need around the house when you have a newborn that you probably didn't realize you needed before. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.